Hey guys, Chris here from christhefreelancer.com, and in today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you my experience as a digital nomad here in Warsaw, Poland. So far I've reviewed Budapest, Hungary, Belgrade, Serbia, and Sofia, Bulgaria, and today's review video is going to be my final review video in our 3.5 month Eastern European tour. So if you hear me make comparisons between Warsaw and these other 3 destinations, that's why. But without further ado, let's get into my first impressions of Warsaw. So I'm gonna be honest, we didn't have many expectations when we came here, but we were pleasantly surprised to find that the city is ultra modern, very polished. It's got a great blend of modern skyline with cobblestone streets and old architecture. So it's a very nice city. It's actually the first city in Europe that we've been to with high-rise buildings. And from the public cycling system to the metro to the internet, Warsaw felt like a modern high-tech city. So we really liked that aspect. Also, Warsaw felt quite different from the countries that we visited in Southeastern Europe. The climate was a big factor in this, but also the culture is distinctly Central European rather than the Southeastern culture like Sofia and Belgrade. But I'll get more into that once we get into the categories. Let's start with cost of living. Overall, Warsaw is a more modern and world-famous city than, say, Sofia or Belgrade, so expect things to be a little bit more expensive here than you would expect in Southeastern Europe. First up, let's talk about accommodation. And our apartment here in Warsaw that I'm sitting in right now, we booked through Airbnb and we paid 700 Australian dollars for a 2-week stay. From memory, the Airbnb prices were similar to what we've been paying in the rest of Eastern Europe, but the big mistake I made this time was the area we're staying in. We're staying on the other side of the river near the new location of Google Campus. And in hindsight, I would have chose a location that was more central, closer to the center of the modern part of Warsaw. But you live and learn, and I'm sharing it with you today. For food and drink, I felt the prices were a bit closer to Budapest than Southeastern Europe. Not a huge difference though. Average meal in Belgrade and Sofia would probably be around $4 to $5 US, but here it's more like 6 or 7. The best thing about the food in Warsaw though is the variety. And we've been craving Asian food ever since we left Asia because we got so used to it. And that's something that Southeastern Europe hasn't really delivered on. But here in Warsaw, there's lots of variety, lots of great Asian food and food of all different types. And you've got Uber Eats here and other delivery apps. You've got a wide range of food. For groceries, quite similar to Belgrade and Sofia. I noticed a little bit of a difference with meat and bread seemed to be a little bit cheaper. But as a whole, groceries are quite affordable here. I'm gonna put some numbers up on your screen. I don't know if this makes much sense to you having them individualized, but basically look, this whole load of groceries from Carrefour was only 153 zlotys, which is just $41 US. Alcohol, didn't drink much during this trip, but as you'd expect from Eastern Europe, very cheap. I paid 13 zlota for a beer in the park, which is about $4 US. But at the store, you can pay 2 to 3 zlota, which is 50 to 80 US cents. Coffee is an area in which we noticed a bit of a difference. Coffee prices were more like Budapest than Sofia and Belgrade. I'm talking 2 to 4 US compared to 1 to 2 US in Southeastern Europe. So a little bit more pricey, but the cafes are everywhere and they're quite nice. For transport, Warsaw is a very spread out city, more spread out than I anticipated, but luckily there are a lot of transport options to get you around the city. The most exciting one, Uber is here. I really missed having Uber because it makes things so much easier, especially when you don't know the language. So just to put it in perspective of how much it would cost to take an Uber here, we were staying just across the river, and any trip to get from here to the center of town or anywhere else in Warsaw, we've paid 15 to 20 zlotys and 30 to get to the airport, which is no more than $8. So very affordable if you just want to take Ubers. Also, they have an amazing public transport system. I'm talking trams, metros, buses, and the ticketing system is a little bit strange. It's based on time, and I'm not sure whether this means time limit for transfers or a complete time limit of validity, but you can get a 20-minute ticket for 3.4 zlota, a 75-minute ticket for 4.4 zlota, or 90-minute ticket for 7 zlota. The other thing that Warsaw's got going for it that a lot of cities don't have are these bike sharing stations, and they're branded as Vitulio, and they're incredibly cheap, almost free. It's 10 zlotys to get started, and the first 20 minutes is always free, and then from 20 minutes to an hour is only 1 zlota. Then the rates go up exponentially, stopping at only 7 zlota per hour. But the system is great when it works. I downloaded the app and could just scan the QR code of the bike I wanted to rent when I registered an account. I could just take the bike out, drive to the next station, park it in, and in that respect it's great, but it malfunctioned twice on me, and my account got blocked twice. So when it works, it's great. When it doesn't work, it's really annoying, and I've got 20 zlotys of credit on there just sitting there blocked because they haven't registered that I've returned the bike. As for walking, as I said, it's a very spread out city, so unless you stay somewhere central, it's not really a walkable city. Definitely in the area we're staying, it's a 20-minute walk just to get to where all the food stores is. Don't make my mistake. Plan to stay somewhere central if you plan on walking and getting around easy. Finally, under cost of living, phone plans are very important for nomads, and we were lucky to get our phone plans at the airport as we came out at Modlin. And we were very excited when we saw the huge data limit of 30 gigabytes. All right, got our SIM cards at the airport. We picked up a 30 gig SIM for 19 zlotys. That's literally just over $5 for the biggest data package I've ever had in my entire life. 30 gigs is huge. But then realized that it was only valid for 7 days. So basically, after we realized that we had no phone reception anymore after 7 days, we had to go back to the Play Store, or like Denise went to a corner store and paid an extra 10 zlota to recharge 3 gigs for an extra 7 days. So it's not expensive, and you can get up to 50 gigs spread over the course of like 3 months. So data is very cheap, and as long as you buy the right package, you should be more than fine here in Warsaw on data. All right, let's talk about cafes and co-working. In this section, it's probably going to be a little bit different from the last 2 reviews I did, because for this trip, I already had the co-working space that I wanted to go to in mind before we picked our Airbnb and I booked our flights here. And truth be told, I didn't end up spending much time there. I ended up spending time working from home and tried out a few cafes as well. But the space I'm talking about is the Google campus. And Google campus, for those of you who don't know, Google have set up campuses or free co-working spaces around the world. There's ones in, I've been to the one in London, for example, but there's locations in Madrid, Seoul, Tel Aviv. And these co-working spaces, I don't know exactly why they do it, but the internet is incredibly fast and it's completely free. And of course, the facilities are modern and everything you'd expect from a huge company like Google. Like I said, I didn't end up spending that much time there. The first 2 days I got there, they kicked me out actually because they were closed. It was a public holiday, but I wish they told me in advance before letting me sit down and start work. So other places I checked out was Etno Cafe, which seems to be like one of the best cafes to work. I noticed a Digital Nomad meetup happening there earlier this week that I didn't actually get to attend. Another one is Store. These are all, by the way, on the other side of the river, so in central Warsaw. Labor Cafe, Deli and Co-working. Despite the name with co-working, it's not the best place to work, and a lot of people are coming there to eat. I kind of expected more, to be honest, from the name, but it was still had internet and they were happy for me to work there, and they had great breakfast. Finally, yesterday I wanted to get out of the house, and so I went over to the Secret Life Cafe. It's not very centrally located. It's off near the Arcadia Mall. And while I was there, I decided to try out a co-working space that was nearby called Reactor. And this co-working space is inconspicuously hidden in this normal house. There's no signage, so don't freak out if you get there. But it's more tailored towards startups and local entrepreneurs. I use the space for a few hours and the internet's great there. So if you do want to connect with that community, there's that option as well. And you know, there are plenty of co-working spaces in Warsaw. It's like I said, it's a high-tech city, big startup scene. So there's plenty of co-working spaces to shop around at if you like your co-working, and also plenty of cafes. All right, lifestyle and things to do. And I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I didn't quite vibe with Warsaw. I think a big part of that was I chose the wrong area to stay in, but also the weather is, you know, I was looking forward to a bit more mild weather, but I must admit the cloud cover and the rain does kind of affect your mood a little bit depending on who you are. I also underestimated how spread out the city was, as I said before. So transport and getting around was a little bit tougher than I expected. But that being said, it's got some great lifestyle features like the Riverside Promenade, the cycling system. They've got bike tracks everywhere, even traffic lights for bikes. So it's very bike friendly. There's plenty of cafes in the city. There's basically all the modern trimmings that you'd need in any city. Like I said, Uber and Uber Eats and all the big chains are here. So it's a city with everything you need. In terms of tourist attractions, the main attraction, of course, is the Warsaw Old Town, and of course all the museums and monuments that are dedicated to Warsaw's turbulent history. You should look that up if you don't know what I'm talking about. But for us, once we checked out Old Town and the center of the city, we felt like we'd kind of seen Warsaw. That's for us personally. We're not really museum buffs or history buffs, but if you are into your history, I think that Warsaw is definitely a stop you need to go to and check out some of the museums. Warsaw is a modern European city that has all the features of a destination, perfect for digital nomads, but for whatever reason, I personally did not enjoy Warsaw as much as I would have liked. To be fair, like I mentioned, I think the main reason is that I felt myself isolated in the area we chose to stay near Google Campus. If you're familiar with the kind of digital nomad that I am, I like to be walking distance from all of my necessities, but the mistake I made on this particular trip was underestimating how spread out the city was and just choosing the wrong area. Other than that, the city has a lot going for it. It's a forward-thinking metropolis. You can find a great metro system there, great internet, and services like Uber and Virtulio for getting around. If I had more time to spend in Poland, I would have definitely checked out Krakow as well, but you never know, I might be back here in this part of the world in the future. So that's it, guys. Thanks for watching. Remember, there's a blog post accompanying each of these review videos that you can find on my website, christhefreelancer.com. You can find the post for this video at christhefreelancer.com/Warsaw for digital nomads. And if you're watching this on YouTube, be sure to like the video if you like this information and subscribe for new videos, and I will see you on the next one.